I am here with Brian. Brian, what's going on, man?
How's it going? How are you, Paul?
I'm doing well. As you watching, Brian has been a longtime student. He just hit a huge goal and landmark in any entrepreneur's life. Could you touch on what just happened in your life, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Just recently, I just sold my business for over a half a mil, and that doesn't include inventory and everything. So it was a pretty good chunk of change. I reached, and my goal was to reach 1 million in revenue for 12 months by March, which I reached. Actually, it was like right at the end of March, beginning of April. So I'm counting it, but it was the last trailing 12 months. So I was maybe 2 weeks short of that, but still.
I like how you just casually slid in the half mil.
Well, believe it or not, businesses are selling for more than that now. If you have the funny part was my revenue picked up in the last 3 months when I was selling it. So had I waited, I probably would have sold it for six or 700,000 easy, which is crazy to think about because the multiples and the businesses that are getting bought right now by these huge companies is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it could go all the way up to a 5x multiple, right?
Yeah, it's getting higher and higher. There's more and more money out there to buy, and there's not enough sellers. So it's the seller's market right now.
You quit your job?
Oh yeah, I mean I've been quit since July. Yeah, it's been the best decision I've ever made. It's been great. Changed my life completely, man. I mean it's like I from 2 years ago I could barely make it paycheck to paycheck, and I mean talking about a 180, right? I mean
What did you do?
I was a physical therapist assistant, so I treated people like they come into the clinic, do knee rehabs and shoulders, whatever, the whole body. You do ankles. I mean, I liked what I did, but it was also taxing because I was driving an hour and a half a day, and you know, every each way. I mean, it was a killer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's far.
So, and it didn't make a ton. Not much room for advancement. I mean, I'm so much happier doing what I'm doing, and it's not just the money I care about. I just love doing it. I was my whole life. Every job I did a ton of different jobs, but every job I did, it's not that I hated the job. I just wasn't fulfilled. There was always something missing. And I think that something was I've always wanted to work for myself and do my own thing. I just never saw the opportunity. And when I saw you doing Amazon, like the light bulb just went on. I was like, holy crap, this could be huge.
Totally.
And it completely changed my mindset on things. And like you made me believe it was possible. And honestly, like, when you're old as I am, I'm not saying I'm like an old man, but I just turned 41. I'm about to be 42 in May, right? So I'm older. Like I've looked at a lot of opportunities and like, yeah, you either need a lot of money or it's just bullshit, right? It's just some kind of scam. But when I saw you doing Amazon, I was like, man, this is like a real possibility to make a difference. Like you changed my entire mindset. I realized almost immediately the opportunity that it was, and the fact that you could do it with almost, I don't want to say almost no money, but it wasn't $50,000. Like I knew it was possible. So like you made me believe that if you never did YouTube and you never did your thing, and this I would never be here, which is
Wow.
unbelievable. I mean, the chances of me being here are slim to none.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate that.
Really, it's changed my entire life, like my family's life. It's amazing.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
And changed my life because now I have you know, hardwood bamboo guitar rack.
Let's put your guitars, right?
Yeah. I'm excited. I got the urge to buy a new guitar the other day, but it was extremely impulsive. I was like, no, 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 no.
I know what you mean. Like, I got paid for the business. My immediate reaction was like, man, I'm gonna go buy like a new truck, do all this stuff. And then I just went back to I gotta pay the bills, I gotta send my girls to college. Like, like your frugalness takes over again.
Yeah.
And my immediate reaction was like, don't spend any of it, but just reinvest it, right? But yeah, I'll do some small things for myself. Like we're gonna go on a Disney vacation, like which is awesome, like a Disney cruise. So that's a payoff for me. We're gonna go an extra week on vacation this year. So it really has bought time for me, and I can pay off my college loans, which is huge. Pay off my wife's college loans. So it really gives us peace of mind and just freedom and time.
I mean, we're obviously here now talking about the major success that you've had, but it wasn't always that way. Could you touch a little bit on how you got started and where you were just nearly, 18 months ago?
I just went, it was so hard to make a living, as many of you know out there, you're paycheck to paycheck, you can maybe barely scrape by, or maybe you saved a little bit and you want to invest it or do something with it. I struggled for years to just get ahead. I worked really hard, but I never really got ahead. And it was frustrating. And until I ended up finding Paul's videos, and we kind of talked about this earlier, I found your videos and I realized it was such a massive opportunity. And I have looked at, I always wanted to do something for myself. I always thought you needed a ton of money. I always thought you needed investors, right? You need to like have some kind of resource. If you want to do wholesale, right, you have to have some kind of supplier you have to pay 50 grand to for the rights to sell their stuff. I always heard all this crazy stuff because I've come from, pre-internet days even. But everything's changed now. Amazon, when I saw you doing Amazon, a light bulb went off. I knew it was a massive opportunity. And I just listened to what you were doing and watched what you were doing. And I was so impressed. I was just amazed.
What triggered the action for you? Because right now, a lot of people are stuck in passivity.
Yeah, there's a lot to that, just from the emotional side, as well as just my experiences from the past. It's kind of emotional. I lost my dad a few years back, and I just my whole perspective changed. There was a moment where he wanted to start a business. I remember this very clearly. He wanted to start this was before you could get on like streaming videos, right? So you had video stores which were just opening up, like Blockbusters, right? And then you had a pizza place has been around forever. So he was going to open up a Chicago. The idea was from Chicago. It was going to be a pizza delivery, and they delivered your video to your house too, right? So which was pretty. That was pretty. I guess you could say. What's the word? Nobody had done it in our area, and then you would have to return the video on your own. But he never did it. And I remember him saying, "You only live once. You might as well start a business." And I wish he would have, because later that year they didn't do it. A pizza shop opened up and a video store opened up in the same little shopping area, and they both were there for years. So he would have almost certainly been successful. For whatever reason, it just never happened. He was going to do it with his cousin, but it never happened. But I always remembered that and thought to myself, man, if he would have done that, he would have done really well. And I told myself after he passed, like, I got to try it. I got to do something. And I just had an urgency to do it. But it wasn't just that. I'd been through so many jobs. I had worked so hard and I wasn't getting ahead. So when I saw you on YouTube, I was like, man, this is the opportunity. It's not going to take a ton of money. It's not like you need 40, 50 grand to do it, or even 20 or 30. Like there was a huge opportunity there. I recognized it, and I just went after it with reckless abandon. I mean, I made smart educational choices, but I wanted it so bad. I think when you just get fed up with getting up in the morning, I mean, I was exhausted. I was at work. I felt like a zombie all day. I was getting no sleep. I was missing my girls' entire lives. I had just had it and I wanted something to change. So my mindset had to change. And when I changed that and I went after it, everything changed along with it.
So that was the turning point, right? Was it the fed up? So it was actually a pressure point more than anything.
Felt like I was just going through life and nothing was happening. And I was very unhappy with the way things were going. I just felt like a zombie and just felt like a worker bee, like nothing to look forward to. It's really kind of mundane to do a job. At least it was for me. And especially when you're not getting ahead.
Why did you decide to come work with me?
Yeah. So like I had taken like leadership classes, and like as part of an MBA course. I took about a half of an MBA. So I don't have an MBA. And I just, I saw things in you that you were doing, and I kind of knew that the most successful people would say, surround yourself with a mentor or somebody who's successful. And that I took to heart. And I knew if I was going to do it at the speed I wanted to do it, if I was going to get out of my 9 to 5, okay, I knew, watching videos for a year or two just wasn't going to do it. I had done things like that before and never pulled the trigger. So I think there was a sense of urgency to want to get out of my daily grind. And I saw this as an opportunity, so I didn't want to miss it. So when you said you had this coaching program coming up, I was so excited. Now, the one reserve I had, because understand at the time I didn't have a lot of money, not that I have a ton now, but I have a lot more. I was concerned. I was like, how much is this going to cost? And how I was immediately thinking, how can I budget it so I can get into this, because it's going to put me way ahead. If I knew what I knew now, I certainly would have paid thousands of dollars for it, even if it meant spending more than I wanted, because it got me so far ahead. And I think now that you even have more credibility as a mentor, that to me is huge, because now the credibility is there. You have people that have succeeded, and I like myself, and I think I can speak to the help that you gave me, put me light years ahead. If you were never on YouTube, and I think I told you this earlier, I don't know that I ever would have done it, because you inspired me to do it. You made me believe it was possible. And I needed that. I needed someone to make me believe it was possible. And you were so like almost nonchalant about it. You had done it. You had told your story, and that really inspired me to do it. Your story helped me tremendously. Like, you told the whole story about how you made like 40 grand, right? You blew it. And I was like, wow, like I can do this, man. And you were showing me step by step, and it was amazing. I just knew I could do it. And you were the inspiration for sure.
How did you get, from one successful product to, 3, 4, 5 successful product up to $1 million a year? That doesn't just happen overnight, right? So could you talk to that point? Like, was that easier than you thought it'd be, harder than you thought it would be?
Well, I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. Like, so I went through a couple unsuccessful products, which I think it was like 2 or 3, right? And actually, the product that I really took off for me, I picked off of your list, which I'm sure you still have the list. And it was a great product. And when I looked at it, based off of all the information you had kind of covered in your videos and in trainings, I think both of us looked at it and was like, man, like the numbers looked really good, and the competition wasn't too high. And it really looked like a great opportunity. So I was excited about it. And because of some of my experience in the past, I've done like 30 different jobs. I think I was able to execute it well. And with some tips from you, especially, and the whole process, by the way, as far as like how to list and do everything, keywords, like I learned that all from you. I've expanded since, but like all of my foundation was from your course and from you teaching it. Especially your course, it was fantastic. But yeah, I expanded from there. I expanded within that same niche of the original idea that you gave me. And that's truly what got me to the million. So it was pretty much your niche that you picked that got me to the revenue that I saw.
What are your plans now? You've sold this business. I mean, where do you go from here?
Yeah. So, I've realized, because I've put so much time and energy, and keep in mind, anybody who's watching this, I did this while I was working full time. I didn't quit until July of last year. And, until my sales really got bigger and I can make a living off of it. But there's so much you can do in the e-commerce space. It's so, I think it was 14, 15% now that is just e-commerce for retail shopping in general. Think about the upside there. If you get into this now, there's so much more upside. People are saying, Amazon saturated. Online space is not saturated, not even close. Is it maybe a little more difficult? Yeah, to get ideas, but it's by no means is it saturated. It's going to grow tremendously. Year over year, it's grown 20%, I think, and even a lot more since the pandemic, and it hasn't dropped. So if you're going to get into it, now's the time. It's massive opportunity. I'm going to invest most of what I got from the sale into e-commerce businesses. I'm planning on starting three separate businesses. I also have some eBay stuff I do with a partner. So I'm really looking to invest heavily into e-commerce, especially Amazon.
What do you have as advice for people who are watching this that haven't taken action or haven't hit their breaking point yet, haven't jumped into selling on Amazon? We've all been there. I already know, the space and what it was like to not be in it and then be in it and how exciting it is. You know that obviously now.
I mean, there's no question in my mind. I'm 100% sure it's worth getting into. You have to, I think though, there's certain type of people that want to be an entrepreneur. And I think you have to be one of those people, meaning if you want to work a 9 to 5 and you're happy doing that and you just want to get up every day and do that, that's fine. Not everybody's built to do what we do, but if you truly want to do this and you're hesitating, what are you waiting for? I mean, you only live once, you only have one life. Do you want to look back in 20 years and be like, man, I wish I would have tried. I wish I would have given it a shot. Or do you want to just go by and do a job you might hate or maybe you barely like and maybe because you're a little bit comfortable. I mean, it's okay to even take a drop in pay if you can to do this. If you truly want to do your dream, I mean, I have the freedom to do what I want. I can be with my children and I can see them grow up now. I can go on vacations. I can get up at 10 a.m. And now, don't get me wrong, you don't want to do that if you're trying to make money. But my point is, I can do those things. I have the freedom. There's no bigger thing in my mind. So you've got to go after it. Do yourself a favor and go after it. And don't sit there and do a job you can't stand for the rest of your life. You're going to regret it if you don't try to do something now. And you don't need $1 million. You don't need $20,000 to start a business now. That's what's so great. The cost of starting a business is lower than it's ever been. The opportunity is higher than it's ever been.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It's obviously an extremely pleasant surprise anytime we ever get to chat. For everyone watching, even better surprise. Thanks so much, Brian. We'll leave you with that, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, guys.